McDavid's up there, and we have to start with this, Strud, because this is perfect timing for you to be here. I appreciate that the media, they open it up to the media, and they just start rifling 100 miles an hour on the black at him about his contract and whether or not he's going to sign and how he's going to handle it. And here's what Connor McDavid said earlier this afternoon.
Connor, we'll talk lots of Olympics, but do want to get to the contract situation. Maybe just give us a sense of where things sit right now, how you feel, about what Stan has done, and, if you're optimistic that a deal will get done before the season starts.
Yeah, not even a softball Olympic question for me to start, huh? But that's okay. Right into it. Yeah, no. I said at the end of June, I had every intention just to take my time with it, and I still feel the same way. Take my time and go through everything, and I have every intention to win in Edmonton. That's my only focus.
All right, Strud, take it from there. What do you make of that comment from Connor McDavid?
First off, that was my boy Ryan Rashog. Welcome back, Connor. It's great to see you. Are you going to sign? Right at him, and I love it. He's going down there with an agenda.
Me too. I love it.
Got the question there. Connor's been very consistent in the way he's approached this negotiation. He said, he likes in Edmonton. He's talking about taking the time. He's talking about his priority is winning. So I don't think there's really a lot to really maybe try to read between the lines here on. I like that he said my only focus is to win in Edmonton. Now, some people might interpret they got to win this year or he's gone. Or if you do win this year, maybe he's gone. I think others might look at it and say, well, he wants to win in Edmonton. That might take more than just this year. It might take longer than that. So I don't he's been obviously coached or thought of his responses to these situations because he's been very consistent there, Frankie.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know what more he was supposed to say, right? Like, he knows the question's coming. He knows that it's going to probably keep coming, especially if this is something that persists, like, into training camp. And ultimately, like, the answer can change very quickly. The answer changes as soon as Connor McDavid picks up the phone and says, guys, this is what I want to do. Because there's really, how much of a negotiation can there possibly be? It's like, this is what Connor wants to do, so you guys, we got to do it or we don't. And that's what the Edmonton Oilers will ultimately do. I don't know. Like, there's really not much more that you could expect him to kind of outline in detail in a situation like this.
Here's the thing. In terms of leverage, I think you bring up a very valid point and an important point that we all know. It's common knowledge. All of the leverage is in the side of Connor McDavid. Like, he will determine what's going to happen here within reason. The other side's, if he comes to him and goes, I want 20% of the cap on a 1-year deal or something, they may push back and say that's not reasonable. But I think both parties are going to be reasonable. But clearly Edmonton will do whatever they can to make him happy and whatever they can to keep him throughout his career. I mean, I think we all know that. So with that being the case, the floor is available to him to say anything he wants. And he's not going to lose leverage. In other words, if he showed up and said, not worried about it, I'm going to retire an Oiler, we'll figure it out, they're not picking up the phone in Edmonton saying, oh, this is great, we're going to lowball you now because you said you're going to stay here throughout your career. So the door was open for him to say anything. This is clearly planned. It was clearly schooled and coached. And he said, I have every intention to win in Edmonton. That isn't, I'm going to be here forever. That's not going to be, I'm staying until we win. Like, that to me sounds a little bit different than maybe what I would want to hear if I'm in Edmonton. But what I do appreciate, and I hope this is what he's thinking, is he's going to keep putting pressure on the team to make sure that they put him in a position to win. Like, that would be the message I would get. And I'm sure Jeff Jackson knows that. Stan Bowman knows that. But last time I checked, their goalies are still Skinnerd and Pickard, right? Like, I don't think they've changed their goaltending. They haven't done a ton this offseason. They've lost some guys, but they haven't done a ton. Strider, you can speak to it better than I can in terms of the mood there, in terms of what they've done to put themselves in a better position. Albeit they've been to back-to-back Cup finals. We're not talking about a team with 85 points that just wants to make the playoffs. We're talking the thinnest margin that they need to improve upon. But the door was available and open for him to walk through and say, I'm an Oiler. I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure it out. He did not say that. And that doesn't mean he's leaving, but it does possibly mean he's playing a game here, which I think is reasonable for him to play. Keep putting pressure on them.
Yeah,
You better help me win. Like, and if you don't, there's no guarantees I'll be here forever.
No, and I agree with that. And I think that that's, when you're a lead player, and we went through the top 7, 8 centers a couple days ago. It was released by various members of the media and outlets. And everyone in the top of the list had a Stanley Cup except for Connor, Leon, and Austin Matthews. Now,
Right.
Austin, I don't have him quite in that, and this
He's not
isn't trying
in
to
their
beat him up, but he hasn't been close. So again, that's not a shot. It's just trying to lay it out here. Is that those other 2 guys have been really close, but they don't have that cup yet. So for them, it's really, really important. But if you go back and listen to it, Leon Draisaitl was in the same situation, a year away from becoming an unrestricted free agent. He sang from the same hymn book, right? He said a lot of same things. I got to do some research. I got to figure out what I want to do. I'll talk to my family, and there's no guarantees. And then once he signed, I never wanted to leave. This was my favorite place. And so I think that these guys, I don't think you want to tip one way or another, or which way you go. And I think everyone agrees that he will sign. He being Connor McDavid will sign an extension. Now, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years. I can't tell you. I'm not. That'd be a question for Darren Drager and CJ and guys like that. But I think that for him, he's trying to just be consistent with his messaging, knowing that everyone's going to try to, figure out everything he says. And
Right.
the thing for the Oilers, when you look at their offseason, I think that their D is better today than it was at the start of last season with Walmart. I think a healthy, some of the guys being healthy. But the question are some of the guys like Trent Frederick, Isaac Howard, and Matt Savoy. If 2 of those 3 guys, now Trent's, I think he's going to be better because of
playing.
injury.
He's signed, right? He's not going anywhere.
And I think he'll be a better version of himself. But Frankie, if one of those 2 guys, Howard or Savoy, can become a regular in this lineup, that'll be huge. Doesn't mean they both won eventually, but young players, it's tough short term to say, yep, these 2 guys are in there and you're going to score 20 goals. But if one of them can be a regular, now I think you might, because Kane wasn't with them all year last year, guys. Keep that in mind.
Right.
He didn't play the whole year. Corey Perry, he was great. He was so good. But $3 million, that's a hard one to sell, right? It's hard to bring that back.
For sure.
So there's a lot of, I think the team is different. But the centers are still there. The D are great, and now the goalies have a different goalie coach, which I think goalie coaching
Is that
can
enough,
make
though?
a difference.
Like, that's the one thing. If you're McDavid and you're looking at the same 2 goalies,
Yeah,
I'm surprised
fair.
by that strategy. I'll be honest. Based on what Bowman said at the end of the year, he said, I'm pretty sure he said there needs to be change at that position, if I recall correctly. Now maybe he would indicate that has happened because they have a new goaltending coach, but that would seem somewhat misleading. I mean, the idea that Skinner and Pickard are going to get another kick at the can, I get it. They've been to Cup Finals 2 years in a row. I get it, but I don't know how much confidence these guys are going to have in them for another 82 game grind.